What's up, guys? I'm Nobody Special, and a massive power outage has just hit Central Asia. Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and Uzbekistan have all lost power to their major cities after a major power line that connects all three countries was disconnected due to a load imbalance. This comes just a few days after Kazakhstan was rocked by protests all over the country over rising energy prices and is obviously not going to help that situation. And believe it or not, this has a big effect on Bitcoin, and particularly Bitcoin miners here in the US. You ready? Hit it. Thank you for joining me. I'm Jack Gamble, and I'm Nobody Special, and the people of Kazakhstan are in for another rough couple of days. The power to major cities across the whole country was lost today when a major north-south power line that connects the grids of Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and Uzbekistan went down due to a load imbalance, plunging millions of people into darkness. And coincidentally, this took the second largest population of Bitcoin miners on the planet out of commission, which could have some unforeseen consequences for Bitcoin miners elsewhere in the world. Now, before we get into what happened and what I think may have actually caused it, I have to ask you folks, could you please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification bell? It really helps me out, and I'd be forever in your debt. And now it is time to shrink my big fat melon of a head. And let's get into this story. Power blackout hits Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and Uzbekistan. And this is today in Reuters. Central Asian nations of Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and Kyrgyzstan suffered electrical power outages in major cities on Tuesday, according to authorities and residents, after a major power line in Kazakhstan was disconnected. The grids of the three ex-Soviet republics are interconnected and via Kazakhstan are linked to the Russian power grid, which they can use to cover unexpected shortages. But Kazakhstan's north-south power line, which links densely populated southern Kazakhstan to its two neighbors to major power stations in northern Kazakhstan and the Russian network, was disconnected on Tuesday morning due to emergency imbalances in the Central Asian part of the grid. I want you to remember that. Emergency imbalances. Remember that phrase, okay? We're going to come back to that one. The blackout caused chaos across the region for several hours, with subway trains stuck in tunnels and skiers on lifts. Airports closing, district heating and tap water pumps going idle, and traffic lights switching off. Neither of the three countries reported any problems with its power stations that could have caused the imbalances. Kazakhstan, which has previously experienced power shortages due to the influx of cryptocurrency miners, has started routinely cutting off their power supply and did so from January 24th until the end of the month, according to a document published online by one of the local miners. All right, so remember that also. We talked about load imbalances that caused the power outages today on the 25th. Well, on the 24th, they shut down power to the Bitcoin miners. Remember that one. Keep in mind the effect this is having on people all over the country. And speaking of Bitcoin, this is on CoinDesk. Kazakh crypto miners cut off from electricity supply until the end of January. Kazakhstan's energy problem worsened on Tuesday when a major transmission line was disconnected. Kazakhstan's crypto miners will have their energy supply cut off from January 24th until the end of the month, three people in the local industry told CoinDesk. A memo from national grid operator Kyrgyzstan, dated January 21st and seen by CoinDesk, said that the planned supply of electricity to persons engaged in digital mining is completely canceled from January 24th until midnight on January 31st. Kazakhstan's energy grid has been struggling to meet power demand, especially during the winter. Kyrgyzstan said it will consider rolling the limitations back if the energy situation improves. Now, just to give you an idea of the network distribution, this is in Brave New Coin, and what we're seeing in yellow here is the previous Chinese hash rate. And remember, China banned cryptocurrency mining mid last year, so that has now gone to zero, and it has left the United States here in pink as the single largest source of hash rate in the world. But the next biggest source of Bitcoin hash rate was Kazakhstan. And here you can see Kazakhstan just overnight has gone to zero because they shut off power to their cryptocurrency miners. Now, another thing I want to mention is the Bitcoin price has seen quite a tumble in these most recent weeks. So you've probably seen a lot of Bitcoin miners here in the States have shut down as it's become less and less profitable. A lot of the older rigs that maybe aren't as much energy efficient, or maybe they're located in areas of the grid where the power is more expensive, a lot of them were probably shut down after this recent plunge in Bitcoin price. Well, with all of this hash rate in the Bitcoin network going away in Kazakhstan, you're going to see the payouts to miners increase a little bit. So I think you're going to see a lot of these other countries, a lot of those less profitable miners are going to come back online now to replace Kazakhstan's share of the network. So the net result is going to be U.S. miners and miners in other countries are going to be making more money as a result of this Kazakhstan shutdown. Again, the countries that are friendly to crypto are going to see the money flow into them. The countries that are hostile to crypto are going to reap what they sow. Now, here's what's not being talked about in the press. Now, I work in the power industry. I'm not a grid expert, but I know enough to know what may have happened, okay? They talked about last night they shut down power to the crypto miners, okay? On January 24th, they were shutting off power. Well, the power outage started on the 25th, okay? They were saying they had a shortage of power, and because of the shortage of power, they were cutting off the crypto miners. Well, that's what they did. And you notice it wasn't until after they cut off the power to the crypto miners that the grid went down. And they said in that Reuters article that it was not due to a power shortage that the grid failed, but due to load imbalances. And that's important because too much power on the grid is just as bad as not enough power on the grid. Both can cause the grid to fail. And what I think happened, this is pure speculation on my part, but what I think happened is Kazakhstan got too aggressive with the switch, and when they tripped off those breakers and shut down the Bitcoin miners, they crashed their own power grid because they ended up with too much juice on the grid and not enough load, and that is just as bad as a shortage. So they went to save power by cutting off the crypto miners, and they ended up causing an even bigger problem. How about that? Now, we've heard an awful lot in the news about the environmental footprint of crypto mining and how Bitcoin mining can be so bad for the environment. What nobody is talking about is how crypto mining can actually be used to stabilize the grid. That crypto mining can be very good for the power grid. Now, why is that? Crypto mining uses a lot of electricity. Yes, at least proof of work coins use a lot of electricity. Well, that is a load that is easily turned on and turned off depending on power prices. For example, one of the biggest problems in power grids as we move to intermittent sources of electricity, such as wind and solar, is that the amount of electricity on the grid varies so greatly. Well, the load doesn't really vary. In most places, the load is higher during the day and lower at night as industrial facilities shut off and people turn off the lights at night. Well, Bitcoin mining is one of those variable loads that can be used to balance out the grid. At night, when power is cheaper, miners can turn on and they can draw that load to stabilize what the grid is supplying and what the grid has available. So cryptocurrency mining can actually be used to make the grid more secure and more stable by turning the miners on during periods of high capacity and low load when the power is cheapest and when those cryptocurrency miners are most profitable, and then turning them off when the power is in short supply and the price is higher and those miners are less profitable. And because you now have that load that comes on and off depending on price, you actually make base load generations such as big nuclear plants and big fossil burning plants, which is where you need your grid to be. You need base load generation that works whether the wind blows or the sun shines or not. If you have a lot of cryptocurrency mining in your country, you can actually support more base load generation and be less reliant on these intermittent power sources. Now contrast that with what's going on here in the States, where we're subsidizing renewable and intermittent power sources, and that's forcing baseload units to shut down. Now we have these intermittent grids that don't supply enough power when we need them or supply too much power when we don't need them. So you need to be careful how much of your grid you make determined on intermittent power supplies, and you also need to make sure you have something that can come online to balance out the load during those periods of low demand. Now, there's other methods you can use like pumped hydro storage. When there's extra power on the grid, you run pumps and you pump water up to a higher elevation. And then when you need more power, you run it through a turbine and you drain it down and you generate that power back. Now, there's some losses there, but that's another intermittent load that can use to balance out the power grid. So what I suspect happened in Kazakhstan, and what I don't think you're going to hear about in the press, is that they actually caused this problem when they threw the breakers and shut down their Bitcoin miners. They ended up going from a power shortage to all of a sudden a load imbalance where there was too much juice on the grid and the breakers tripped and the whole grid came down in 3 different countries, sending millions of people into darkness. Again, that is pure speculation on my part, but I have seen this happen before, and the timing cannot be ignored. They threw the breaker to the miners on the 24th, and the grid failed on the 25th. That is way too coincidental to ignore. So long story short, Kazakhstan has had a rough couple of weeks with all of the social unrest and the high power prices. Now they've got widespread power outages that spread to neighboring countries. And it looks like, again, speculation on my part, but it looks like cutting off the power to those crypto miners may have been the cause of that. And the side effect of that is cryptocurrency mining for American crypto miners just got more profitable, so more money will be flowing into the U.S. now. Guys, I want to thank you for your time. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification bell. It really helps me out. And until next time, live small and dream big.